Welcome to Nexus Consultancy. We provide professional and strategic services specializing in ISO management systems standards on quality, environmental, occupational health and safety, food safety and many other standards. At Nexus Consultancy, consulting is more than just giving advice. To us, consulting is about building the connection with customers, solving their problems, implementing the change and at last, and helping them to grow. Our company's purpose is simple, which is to empower business and people. We have dedicated 14 years in helping businesses to achieve operational processes improvement and ISO certifications. Having served thousands of companies, Nexus Consultancy has truly built a legacy in helping customers achieve long-term business growth. We have served companies from GLCs, SMEs to big corporations from a wide range of industries. We will work closely with you to create a customized consultation as unique as you are, offering you a truly value-added service which fulfill your business needs and objectives. We believe in what we do, and we would like to do it for you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on ISO 14001 and ISO 45001 for best practices for contractor. I am Suyin here and I will be your speaker for today. Before we start, I would like to do a quick sound and video check. If you can hear me and see me, kindly put a 1 into the chat box so that I'm not talking to myself. Okay, so we would encourage everyone to type any question that you may have in the chat box. We will try to address the question at the end of the session. So let's get started. So making sure the workplace in a safe environment is everyone's responsibility. And today we will be talking about 4 best practices for contractors to take their part for a better HSE work environment. We need to protect each other and the world around us. Everything we do potentially impacts someone else, such as leaving a box outside can make someone trip on it. Or maybe just simple things such as mopping the floor. Even with the best intention, accident may happen. But if everyone works together to take care of their workplace, we can minimize those accidents. But we also need to be aware to people who could not have good intention. For example, unsafe practices by a lorry driver where he speed in a car park area. And we need to protect our workplace from them too. Workplace risks include environmental risks, occupational health risks, and occupational safety risks, which mean that threats we need to guard against include intentional and unintentional threats. So this is a general view of what we are trying to do here today. I would like to have everyone here to understand what is HSE, what is ISO 14001, what is 45001, okay, what is this PDCA thing, and how it actually can help. And it also gives us a chance to think about what are the best practices and HSE success actually means. So let's get started for the first part of the webinar today. Now, a good health and safety practices is everyone's responsibility. When you start going to work, the organization must make sure that their activity do not cause harm to anyone. Normally, HSE is the department in the company or an organization that ensuring that the work undertaken by the company does not cause undue environmental damage and does not put the worker health and safety at high risk. It should comply with applicable legal requirements and also follow best practices. Now, HSE aims to prevent and reduce accident, emergency, and health issue at work, along with any environmental damage that could result from work practices. Let's take a look at the definition one by one. What is HSE? H for health. And the standpoint of health, it consists of development of safe, high quality, and environmental friendly processes and work practices. This is to prevent or reduce the risk of harm to people, and this can be related to toxic exposure limit diseases. And so for S stands for safety. So from a safety standpoint, this involves creating organized procedure for identifying workplace hazard. Okay, so now the goal is to reduce accident and exposure to harmful substances. It also includes training of personnel in accident prevention, accident response, emergency preparedness, and also use of PPE and equipment. In environment, E stands for environment. Okay, in the environment standpoint, this is related to pollution, such as air quality, green technology, and sustainability. It involves creating a systematic approach to comply with environmental regulation. For example, managing waste or air emission, and all the way to help a site to reduce the company carbon footprint. Next, I will be showing a funny cartoon picture. Okay, so in this picture here, okay, is some common hazard that may occur in your workplace. So one example, okay, where you can actually see here that there is a hamburger on the desk. Do you see there's a mouse eating that hamburger? So that the mouse may carry infectious disease which may transmit to the worker. This is a hazard. So what should be done to avoid such hazard? So very simple, food just should not be left open on a workspace. How about any one of you here would like to identify any other types of hazard in this picture? You may leave your answer at the chat box. Anyone? Anyone would like to find out what other hazard that can be found in the picture here? Yeah, we can see that, okay, a very messy floor, okay, where you can see screwdriver, okay, you can see some wire, okay, you can see rubbish, you can see some water, some handbag here. Okay, the trash bin, yeah, holding a lot of things, very good. Okay, this person here, okay, is having this stack, a very high stack of pile of paper or maybe document, okay, that maybe will obstruct the view that he cannot see clearly. Okay, so all this is actually a workplace hazard which we will need to, okay, mitigate or prevent it to happen. The question of why HSE is so important that you have to prioritize it. So why HSE just important? If we look at the three alphabet HSE. Okay, first point. First point is to prevent and eliminate the risk of injury, health hazard, and damage to the properties. Okay, now everybody desire to work in a healthy atmosphere. You see, nowadays many workers are just not fit. They are not healthy. This is because they have busy schedule. They have long working hour and not to mention work pressure. Now, all these things can lead to some kind of illnesses or depression to the employee and will affect their professional as well as their personal life. So start taking care of your health. Okay, take regular breaks, sit in an appropriate posture, eat healthy diet. So HSE should oversee a range of health hazard, which includes ergonomic hazard. For example, are you sitting in the right kind of chair, in the right posture? Are you being exposed to carcinogen? Are you Are there any toxic gas in your workplace, in the room? Are you in a very dangerous condition where you can fall from height and many other things? And for the second point here, okay, is to minimize the unsafe acts and unsafe condition. It is a duty and moral responsibility of the company to look after employee protection. Each and every person who leave home for work in the morning should come back home in the evening with a good health. You do not want your loved one going to work and then never returning home due to workplace accident. You don't want that to happen, so not just that, as an employee or a worker, yourself should be aware of the surrounding hazard, and it should be alert at all times to reduce risk and take precautionary steps. And it is also important for the worker to always update your superior or supervisor about any unsafe condition if detected. And the third point, okay, is to identify towards the conservation and preservation of the environment. Okay, the world that we have right now really doesn't belong to you only. They also belong to the future, like your great-grandchildren. So think about it. It is important to implement system to ensure that we have better resources management and that it will lead to a healthier natural environment. You want to mitigate climate change, lower the cost, and improve the overall public health. And to explore more on HSE management system, we have the popular HSE management systems standards or frameworks such as ISO 14001 Environmental Management System and ISO 45001 Occupational Health and Safety Management System. Correspondingly, HSE management systems have continued to gain popularity as organizations and the way we conduct business have been matured. Management systems give structured processes to manage HSE risk, improve performance, and also aid in reducing costs. ISO 14001 2015 version is an environmental management system. In short, we call it EMS. It is a principal management system standard which specify the requirement for the formulation and maintenance of an environmental management system. Managing your company impact onto environment should be a key priority for a business, regardless of the industry you are in. An environmental management system is a framework for making policy and process change that you improve your environmental performance. This helps to control your environmental aspect, reduce impact, ensure legal compliance. So with ISO 14001 certification, it provides you with the immediate credential that you can use to grow your business in an environment and economically sustainable manner. And for ISO 45001 2018 version, okay, is an occupational health and safety management system. Okay, I believe many of you heard of OSHA 18001. So for ISO 45001 is the replacement of OSHA 18001. So this ISO 45001 standard provides a framework for managing the prevention of work-related injury, ill health, and death. The intention of this standard is to improve and provide safe and healthy workplace for worker and other person who may be interacting with the company. So this include the development and implementation of safety policy objective, which take into account applicable legal requirement and other requirement to which the company subscribe. So with ISO 45001, it provide a safe and healthy workplace for all employee and worker, and consequently, effective OSH management system promotes business efficiency, reduce costs, and make good business sense. There was a worldwide need to harmonize health and safety management system using an international standard or sharing a best practices. This can be seen at local, national, regional, and global level, which applying to both developing and developed country. So with a standard to refer, together with the right infrastructure, training, okay, company will be able to address these risks better in the future. So there are plenty of benefit, okay, of having a ISO certification, okay, but I'm not going to spend 1 hour to talk about it. So I just summarize into this 9 point here. So with having a ISO 14001 or 45001 management system, okay, we can help to improve environmental management. Okay, we can make sure workers are safe. We can prevent injury. We want to enhance the health measure, making sure everyone is healthy at work. We want to reduce risk, reduce operating costs, okay, improve stakeholder relationship, and also it's a proven business credential. And we want to win business in regulated sector. And of course, okay, we want to fulfill legal requirement. We want to achieve compliance. Okay, let's move on to the second part of the webinar, PDCA. So in the following slide, we will take a deeper dive into both management system basic. We will examine the PDCA model, okay, discuss the benefit and cover some items to consider before deciding on the management system approach. So what is PDCA? Anyone can answer into the chat. What is PDCA? What's the full name of PDCA? Hmm? So this PDCA, okay, stands for Plan, Do, Check, Act. Okay. So to use the ISO terminology that I'm most familiar with, okay, it is a plan approach. Okay, and the ISO standards talks quite clearly about taking what they call a plan approach. So most HSE professional, okay, have heard of the PDCA model. Similarly, we know it offers a simple roadmap for even the most complex of management system. While we will discuss in more detail later of each element of the PDCA model, okay, it is a way of thinking about projects that you're going to run, system that you're going to create, and also ensuring that you have looked at it at a wide view so that the things going to work for you and is going to be incorporating all the things you should be thinking about it now. So with my experience as a consultant, okay, usually I get to see a system fail is due to maybe somebody didn't ask a question that they should have asked, or something that they just assume somebody going to do it, and they might also go to the wrong direction, or maybe they do not have a direction. So with all this problem, to come up with the plan, do, check, act approach to help you identify in planning of all those things and then implement things and make sure you're getting the result that you hope for. So projects are really a good way of starting into plan, do, check, act thinking. Hope that you will be able to identify an upcoming project in your own company that you can use this tool and start developing PDCA thinking of what you're going to do. Okay, so some of you might already doing this. You might find yourself already doing it automatically. That is because you are very wonderful. Okay, that is because you are capable of what is going to happen. Okay, so what happened, okay, when the next person comes along and take up your role? Will they be as experienced as you are doing in this kind of approach? They might not. Okay, so how does this thing actually work? Okay, so it leads you to take a step back and look at everything that's happening one move through the stage of this plan, do, check, act cycle. So first, we have the planner. Okay, the plan stage of the PDCA model reviews the current situation and help company decide on what action to implement. Likewise, the action chosen must align to your selected management system requirement. Initially, you are trying to understand all the things that you are going on. Okay, you are trying to understand what are the things we are doing, and you might how might be that a issue. Okay, so in environmental terms, we say that what are all the things we are doing and how might they change the environment. In health and safety, you are saying what are all the things that we do and how might they harm people. It is the same process in every single case where we move to the do part of thing. And for do, okay, now the initial review and planning has allowed identification of what needs to be done. It's time to develop the means to do it and implement it. Okay, so this all happen in the do stage of the PDCA model. We are trying to ensure we have clearly thought out and followed those instructions on the implementation. Well, in the planning stage, you might have written up all the SOP, the guideline earlier, but in the doing stage, you got to make sure that, okay, you send it to everybody, okay, or the relevant person, and you got to make sure that they receive it. You got to make sure someone get the information back, and you must make sure that someone is going to get it done. Okay, so you must make sure that, okay, so they will need to know those things that they need to know, how you expect them to do it, and they need to actually achieve something and come back to you and tell you, okay, see, this is the result, okay, in accordance to what you have planned. So for checking, okay, with the planning completed and the doing in a full swing, the time has come to run a test on the management system. Okay, so furthermore, the check stage of the PDCA model addresses this area. Once you have a result, you're going to compare it to what you thought you would achieve in the plan section to your expected outcome. I call this monitoring. So you take measurement and you monitor them, okay? And you thought you would achieve this, and you assessing it and what you actually have achieved against to it, and see does it align or not. Okay, is it far better from what you have expected? And no matter what are you getting, you need to ask the question, okay, is this what good enough? Okay, what should I do with all the result that I gather? Okay, what should I do, okay, about this based on what am I seeing? And move on is the act. Okay, the act stage of the PDCA model encompasses making the necessary adjustment to address improvement opportunity found during the track stage. In addition, this stage drives the ongoing evolution and long-term enhancement of the management system. Okay, so ask yourself, how could I implement any changes to make things better? So, okay, now, so once you have gone through the cycle, once you do it again and again and again and again, okay, this is one of those things that the ISO management system very strongly emphasizes it. Okay, so as we continue our PDCA discussion, please note I have continued to utilize ISO 14001 and ISO 45001 has a guide for listed potential best practices or activity for each PDCA model element. So after I have briefly briefed through, okay, we understand what is plan, do, check, acting about, okay, how it helps. So give us a chance to think about what are the best practices and HSE success actually means through PDCA. So as the foundation of the management system, the plan stage holds extreme importance for future success. A winning strategy sets you up for success no matter what is the objective. First thing I need you to do, okay, is to have a plan on an overall strategy. So let's say you have already secured approval for an HSE management system implementation. The plan stage comes first in plan, do, check, act model. As the foundation of management system, the plan stage holds extreme importance for future success. Whether you are aiming for an ongoing improvement or a dramatic transformation, the first step is to develop a plan. However, the planning step can actually be further broken down. This first step of PDCA cycle is where you clarify the problem that you want to address. Here, you might explore the impact of the problem you are considering to address and if this is the right problem to tackle to meet your goals. So, what should I really need to do? Okay, so first, I need you to understand what you do and how each step might be a source of risk and opportunity. We are trying to understand what are the things we are doing and how is that a risk or a opportunity. Okay, the risk and opportunity can be in terms of legal requirement, environmental aspect, health and safety hazard. Okay, and additionally, it should consider the company context, stakeholder, and any potential emergency situation. Next, we also need you to know who is involved. We are trying to understand clearly who is going to involve in doing this thing, because the people around you, we are probably going to ask them to do it. Okay, they might need training, okay, they might have some skill issue which need to be rectified. Okay, so it is very important, okay, to assign the correct person into the right role. Next, we need to decide on a reporting channel. Okay, so a HSE management system power comes from the people making the system function. So you must remember the connection with your stakeholders, with those who are making strategic decision. You need to be feeding this plan, okay, that you are going to be reporting before you start any projects. Okay, and last is a project plan. Okay, so when you design a project plan, you need to know what are the expected outcome. Okay, is that what you are going to be comparing? You observe outcome to during the actual review process. Okay, we call it measuring to manage. Okay, you would design as much project as you possibly can. Okay, so what we need you to do to make it more efficient or better is to try to map out your project as much as possible. Okay, so when you are thinking about what to do, okay, and what might be the source of risk and opportunity, I always encourage people to play the children game on what is next, what's happened, what's going on. Okay, keep asking what is next. Okay, so the plan stage of any HSE management system implementation can seem like a daunting task. Okay, but okay, a thoughtful planning will lead to a management system foundation to use for building future success. So next, okay, you can plan endlessly, but a HSE management system implementation will truly start to take shape once it has moved into the do stage. As such, let's take a brief but detailed look at the activity in this stage. So I would like to mention these three things as being something that will make it a lot easier for you. First, turn your do step into the bite-sized chunk. Why? Because people process information better, okay? It makes learning or information more manageable, okay? It helps the information stick in your brain. And next, okay, is assign responsibility, making sure someone own it, okay? Somebody who will make sure that they keep an eye on how things are going, make sure people follow the instruction, and make sure that it is being done as we expected. Third, okay, make sure that you are building in this measurement idea and some kind of reporting structure so that you will not have any nasty surprise. Okay, so what you can actually do, okay, so this is just one best practices that I would like to suggest. Okay, so you can start establishing and implementing a process to handle operational control and potential emergency. So what kind of operational control that we are talking about? So you need to look back at what kind of activity or business nature of business that your company have, okay? Because every company operates differently. But I can give some common example. First, what we have is chemical management. So in your company, if you use chemical, you need to manage it. Okay, you cannot just simply leave a chemical around a work desk, okay, or just let it open without capping it tightly, okay, because that will lead to leakage, okay. So when you're using any chemical in your workplace, in your operation, you need to manage it. So by managing it, okay, there's a lot of aspect, there's a lot of things that you need to consider. First, you can consider who is responsible to that particular chemical, and that person, okay, who are going to manage the chemical, does he or she have a basic awareness training or basic awareness on how to handle the chemical, okay. So if you have chemical, okay, you will need to have something known as safety data sheet. Okay, you need to have something called safety data sheet, okay, where you have all the chemical information in the sheet. Okay, so if let's say that if you are transferring a chemical from container A to container B, okay, so how are you going to label the container B? Is it going to be no label, or is it going to be a label? If let's say there's a label, how does the label should look like? Okay, so you also need to know how to recognize hazard arising from the chemical. Okay, you need to know how what are the type of hazard classification that the chemical that you are using, okay, what are the classification for that chemical, okay. So you need to store your chemical, so you need to have a storage area as well. So the storage area, you need to manage the layout, the design. You need to see whether is this place suitable to store chemical, okay, is it ventilated, okay. So we also can check, okay, when upon receiving chemical, do you have a formal process on how do you manage, okay, the receiving of the chemical, okay. So when you're using chemical, there must be PPE, okay. We need to know what kind of PPE that we need to provide or purchase for the chemical handler, okay. So for chemical, okay, we also need to make sure that, okay, the emergency response emergency response is available. For example, first aid kit, fire extinguisher, spill kit, are they available nearby? Okay, do you have any spillage prevention, leakage containment? Okay, the area that you store chemical, do you have any signages? Okay, so that people know that this is a storage area, okay, and also emergency response plan. A second common operational control, okay, we have is schedule waste management. Okay, so this could be also one of the common control that we need to have in a company, in a project site. Okay, so you need to know, first thing you need to know, do you generate schedule waste? Okay, if you're using chemical, you will left with empty chemical container. That empty chemical container is a schedule waste. Then I will need you to manage all these empty chemical container. Okay, how do you manage it? Same thing, you need to have a storage area. Okay, you need to find the right design criteria for storage of schedule waste. Can you just store a schedule waste next to a drain? Can you just store the schedule waste outside without any shelter? No. Okay, so the container that you use to contain schedule waste, okay, you need to know what kind of container need to be used. If it's a liquid schedule waste, okay, what container you are going to use. If it's a solid schedule waste, what container you're going to use. Okay, so once you have a container, you also need to start label. How are you going to label? Okay, how are you going to label? Who is going to label? Okay, when are you going to label? Okay, and we need to find someone to take care of all these schedule waste. So with schedule waste, we will need to have trainings, okay, we will need to have perform disposal, okay, we need to engage licensed contractors. Okay, so who is going to get the licensed contractor? How do you know that licensed contractor can actually help you to dispose of scheduled waste? You need to manage them. Okay, and of course, the same thing, okay, we need to make sure emergency response is available. Okay, for example, your first aid kit, fire extinguisher, your spill kit, okay, spillage prevention, okay, signages, all this must be available. Okay, so how about potential emergency? Okay, so emergency always happen when we least expect them. Okay, this situation often carry a risk to people, environment, and property. Okay, not to mention the risk to the company reputation and the ability to continue to operate. Okay, so with that, okay, we also need to, okay, establish, okay, a process to handle potential emergency. Okay, so what are the potential emergency that we can think of? We have fire, okay, we have medical, we have spillage, okay, this is flood, this is earthquake, this is riot. Okay, so it really depends on the area lah, okay, it really depends on the area, okay, geographically, okay, so you need to determine, okay, what are the potential emergency that may happen, and you come up with emergency response plan. Okay, so planning and designing an operational and emergency control processes prior to an occurrence help to minimize the associated risk. When considering operational control and also emergency preparedness and control, the company should address these few factors. Okay, you can start identifying the type of control, type of potential emergency. So just now I did mention, okay, every company operates differently. Okay, so I give two example, which is chemical and schedule waste. Okay, but what if your company do not have any chemical, you don't use chemical, then of course you do not need to come out operational control relating to chemical. Okay, so only establish those that are relevant to you. Okay, so operational control emergency response approaches, okay, incident mitigation, cost analysis, corrective action. Okay, you can list down the emergency contact, okay, regardless internal or external. Okay, you need to communicate on your operational control, your emergency response plan, and also you need to have training and testing to ensure that the control is working. Okay, the control is working. So the development of emergency response plan or operational control provides an excellent opportunity to engage the workforce in the management system effort. After all, employees perform the everyday tasks included in the organization SOP, compliance plan, and etc. So the worker input comprise an integral part of the operational control and also the emergency response plan exercise. They know what actually work, and most importantly, they know what doesn't work also. Okay, so don't miss the opportunity to fully engage them for their feedback. Additionally, organization must facilitate proper training to affected workers in order to ensure a rewarding system implementation. Workers also must have access to current copy of the operational control ERP for reference when needed. So when approaching operational control and emergency response plan, the company should refer to their framework for managing documented information. Ideally, this framework or procedure would have developed during the plan stage. As part of the framework, a set of format for written document prove useful. Okay, the format will help make the overall management system cohesive and which assist the user of the document. So let's move to check. So take a moment to think about those processes you developed during the do stage and now ask yourself this question. Who is going to monitor and or measure a particular process? What steps are involved in the monitoring and measurement? In what format will the data will be collected? How will the data be evaluated and by whom? And what will be the frequency of the data assessment? Just ask yourself, how do you know these processes are working as it is? Okay, because you monitor, measure, assess, and evaluate. So what you can do, okay, how you going to start? Okay, so I would hope that you benchmark your HSE performance. Benchmarking is a process of measuring the performance of a company product, service, or processes against those another business considered to the best in the industry or maybe best in class. Okay, the point of benchmarking is to identify internal opportunity for improvement. Benchmarking is not just about comparing data or copying your competitors. Okay, some company aim for business excellence and want to be seen as the best. So first step, of course, you need to understand where you are at and be prepared to be open. In order to benchmark anything, you need to have quantitative data available to study. That means breaking down internal processes to calculate performance metrics or indicators. Okay, quantify everything because only quantifiable information can be accurately compared. You need to think about how you will measure where you are and where you want to be. This will help you to measure your improvement from benchmarking. Okay, you can use measure based on numbers, for example, percentage of manager who have completed HSE training. Okay, or if you use an audit system, you can use your result. Okay, where sometimes some company actually put in scoring as a measure. Okay, and later you compare your result with others who use the same system. So what we want to strive for is a spectacular HSE result that you desire. Therefore, we need to have indicators or KPI lah. Okay, so what is leading and lagging indicators? So leading indicators measure the positive, okay, preemptive action taken to prevent undesirable event before they occur. Thus, this action often may go above and beyond simple compliance. It promotes proactiveness because you take prevention step prior to an unwanted occurrence. And for lagging indicator, okay, lagging indicator usually measure data on adverse event after they have occurred. Subsequently, this present a major drawback since you miss prevention opportunity when focused on lagging indicator. Okay, so some of you might be thinking, are we going to stop measuring lagging indicator? The answer is no. Okay, what we need to improve is to increase the use of proactive leading indicator over reactive lagging ones. So let us think about this leading and lagging indicator against this Chinese proverb by an old master. Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. So by focusing on lagging indicator, okay, you provide, okay, employee and management the fish for the day. Okay, so in the past, I have been to a safety briefing before where this safety officer actually report, okay, keep repeating saying that, okay, we have 5 recordable injury at this month. Okay, so what he want is encourage everyone to be more attentive and careful out there. So for this, okay, you gave me the fish, but now I'm just hoping people become more attentive and careful in the hope of avoiding an injury. Okay, alternatively, an emphasis on leading indicator give worker and manager the tool to actually catch the fish. Okay, so just imagine if we change the safety briefing that I attended. Okay, so let's say during the safety briefing we explained that, okay, we train, okay, 100 workers on eye safety this month, giving all employee better knowledge to protect themselves. Okay, the attention to this topic also prompted 5 employees to intervene during safety observation and also correct other unsafe behavior that could have led to eye injury. Which sounds better to you? Counting injury or tracking employee training and safety observation? So these are some of the example, Okay, this is some of the example given, okay, for leading and lagging indicator. Okay, so for leading indicator, we can actually measure a number of permit to work completed weekly, number of JSA completed weekly. Okay, so for lagging indicator, we might want to check on number of first aid treatment cases recorded weekly, number of near miss report recorded weekly. Okay, so of course, okay, I have to repeat this again. I'm not asking you to stop measuring lagging indicator, but we just want you to increase the use of proactive leading indicator over reactive lagging indicator. And last is the act stage. Okay, so take a moment to remember all the monitoring, measuring, auditing, and reviewing you did during the check stage. Okay, so as you move through this activity, okay, you will need to find a few items, okay, of correcting it. So what I would like to introduce here, how can we perform improvement, okay, is to foster a near miss reporting culture. One of the major reason near miss are unreported is the fear of punishment. Employee concluding that their error instigated the near miss incident, or they will be negligent with PPE during the process, may not want to draw attention to the incident and risk being reprimanded for their mistake. Okay, as a management, okay, you should use any report as an opportunity to set a precedent that all near misses in the workplace will be handled calmly. And also giving employee the opinion or option of an anonymous reporting procedure, okay, will eradicate, okay, blaming and shaming on a subconscious level and make it easier for many to send in their report. So a near miss is an unplanned event that doesn't result in injury or death, but could have. So the best accident prevention choice is, of course, eliminate potential danger sources by implementing an safety concept based on an assessment of this risk. So systematic recording and evaluation of near miss is an approach to identify potential hidden danger sources. Okay, so this approach requires that near miss management to integrate in the HSE concept and implemented, for example, by enforcing via a top-down process the relevant rules and measure across all company level, facilitating company-wide sharing of know-how on safe conduct. So what are actually near miss? Okay, so for example, okay, let's say that a poor lighting resulting in a employee tripping and almost maybe fall over to an extension cord. Okay, or maybe a employee that is operating a forklift, okay, and an unstable shelving result in inventory crashing down on them. Okay, or maybe a scaffolding that is faulty, okay, that is maybe slightly damaged, make it dangerous for worker to walk across the roof. Okay, so just now we talked about chemical, okay, chemical storage area. So let's say that chemical storage area is not there is no signages, okay, and people just attempt to light a cigarette close to all this flammable chemical, then it potentially will get fire. Okay, so the best strategy is to become proactive, not reactive. And what near miss management can achieve? Okay, just imagine if the investigation of near miss ensure that it is high likely will not be repeated. This alone represent a huge gain. And why companies should never ignore a near miss? Okay, the company should pay attention on near miss because it may have serious injury and also fatality potential. Okay, so a near miss is classified as having serious injury and fatality potential if the realistic worst outcome is a life-threatening or life-altering injury. So this is very important, okay, but through some near miss, okay, sometimes it deemed to be very trivial to be worth a report. But enforcing near miss reporting has many advantages. Timely reporting help in mitigating risk, preventing accident, raising awareness about the hazard, the employee facing and ensure safer working environment for them. So, is your company considering a HSE management system such as ISO 14001 and ISO 45001? Okay, so you will notice I framed the activity, okay, for each PDCA model element has suggestion. Okay, I have reason for this. So management systems are strictly voluntary. Thus, each organization must assess its needs, goals, resources, and culture to make an informed decision on how to manage those systems. Okay, company can actually opt for full management system approach or a hybrid, or where only part of the system element are incorporated. Okay, so moreover, an organization may choose, okay, standard like ISO 14001, ISO 45001 to serve as its system requirement guideline. So if you are thinking to move into a full or hybrid management system, okay, it is a possibility. Okay, you may be feeling a bit overwhelmed at this point, but you don't have to be. Okay, you can hold the key success by being proactive before the process takes on a life of its own. I will give you another 4 tips to get your HSE management system journey pointed in the right direction. First, just get a senior leadership buy-in before you start and facilitate ongoing leadership commitment throughout the process. Second, complete a gap analysis between your existing program or system and the management system standard that you want to follow. Consequently, the assessment will help to identify the existing HSE area that need attention. Number 3, decide on the strategy to capture documented information early in the process. This action will make it easier to incorporate the document and record you create during the implementation into the management system. And also, okay, do your research and familiarize yourself with the chosen standard guideline requirement for the management system. So this is the 4 tips that I'm going to provide to you. Hope that you can make a wise choice. So the take-home message I would like you to take from, okay, is that Plan, Do, Check, Act is a useful approach to any system or project that you want to have it run in your organization. It's been proven to work and is trusted to prevent really serious harm. I think if you embedded the process into a group, then it will spread out naturally to the rest of the company. Plan, Do, Check, Act is often called as maybe Plan, Do, Check, Change, Plan, Implement, Review, Improve, and they are all the same idea. Okay, there is also possibly additional steps that people put in. Okay, but it's the same kind of process okay, I'm not saying that one way is better than others, okay, but it's about building that process into your normal day-to-day business operation. So in conclusion, okay, management system are still the robust go-to for organization seeking increased HSE performance, proactive management of risk, and process to aid reducing costs. Additionally, the PDCA model serves as a footprint for even the most complex HSE management system. And that would be my sharing for today. I hope it has been beneficial to you. So do feel free to ask any question that you may have in the chat box. And we actually have a good news for those who have stayed with us in this webinar until now. We are giving away free 30 minutes consultation on environmental health and safety. If you have any query regarding on environmental health and safety, do feel free to scan the QR code on the screen here and fill up your particulars. Our team would be in touch with you to arrange for this free consultation. Okay, so yeah, let's move on to the question now. If you have any question you would like to ask, you can put into the chat window. I can speak to those questions. Okay, we have the first question here. What is the differences between ISO 14001 and ISO 45? Okay, so ISO 14001 is environmental management system. We are going to see what activity in your workplace that may cause pollution. And ISO 45001 is a safety and health management system. We are going to see what are the activity in your workplace that may cause injury or ill health, okay, to the employees. So next question here we have, is there a minimum requirement for legal requirement to comply? So there is no minimum requirement. The content are actually based on business activity, geographically location, local and national enforcement requirement. So you must remember every organization is unique. Okay, so if let's say that your company do have chemical, then of course you need to comply to chemical regulation. But if let's say in your company you don't use chemical, then you will not need to. Okay, next question we have, do you need someone inside your organization to conduct an internal ISO 14001 audit? Okay, so ISO 14001 or maybe all ISO standards simply requires that the audit to be carried out objectively and impartially. Okay, there is no requirement, okay, whether it's an internal member or outsider, but as long as, okay, they do not audit their own activity, and of course they must be competent in auditing as well lah. If company mover mandatory to take this ISO, to engage ISO or to implement ISO is actually voluntary. Is voluntary, but of course with ISO standard it actually help you to achieve a consistency and standardization, so I highly recommend that. How long does it take to gain an ISO certification? Okay, so to gain an ISO certification, it typically take maybe 6 to 12 months. Okay, so it depending on how complex are you. Okay, how complex is the company processes. So within before you go for your certification, okay, you are required to conduct like internal audit and management review. Okay, in order then to get your auditor come to audit you. So when the certification body come to audit you, basically they will divide the certification process into 2 stages, where you have a stage 1 audit and a stage 2 audit. Once you have passed both of the audit, okay, basically, and if there is no finding, okay, or even if there's a finding, you have rectified the finding, okay, then your certification should be granted lah by then. Next question, can existing environmental management system activity to be integrated into EMS under ISO 14001? Yes, the standard is flexible. Okay, you do not need to like retool, or you do not need to be standalone. Okay, it can be integrated. So for example, if let's say that currently okay, you have already have some of the environmental program, okay, in place, okay, we just need to structure it in a way to be more standardized. What is the criteria? Sorry, I do not really understand this question. You are referring to what is the criteria on what on ISO, or what is the criteria for, yeah, what is the context about? Sorry, I do not understand this question. Is this ISO suitable for IT industry company? Yeah, we do have IT company do go for ISO 14001 and also ISO 45001. Definitely is suitable. Okay, it's just that we cannot be using a same process to fit all kind of industry lah. Okay, so we also need to assess, okay, your processes, okay, what are the things that you do, and then we come up the correct procedure or SOP that is suitable for your company. What package if we need what package if we need to apply for mover company? What package if we apply for mover company? I think this is more more relevant to a sales question. Okay, so we appreciate your question here. I think we will get our team to contact you further on the information of our packages that we do have, that we can actually present it to you. If we already have ISO 20K, is that there is a portion on EMS, so do we actually need this ISO 14 and 45? So every ISO is different, okay. So you did mention it's just a portion. It's just a portion. So we're not too sure. Okay, this portion actually cover what area? So we think that we think that it is a different thing. It's a different thing. Doesn't mean that you already have an ISO, meaning that cover a small portion of EMS, meaning that you are already complying to ISO 14 and 45. They are different things. Okay. Any more question? It seems like that's it. Okay. So thank you very much, okay, for tuning in today. I hope my webinar is beneficial to you, and I hope that you really gain something from me. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you in future.